Okay, we're going to move swiftly on right now to hear from a global giant, international flavors and fragrances, about how they are using biomanufacturing to displace fossil fuels in their supply chain. And we're going to hear from Natnael Behabtu, who is their Vice President of Research and Development. Natty, please.
Okay, it's a hard follow-up act, by the way. Great presentation. I'm Nati. Natnael Behabtu is the full version of my name, chemical engineer by training. I work for a company called IFF. I'll tell you a bit more about the company first, and then I'll introduce to you some of the technologies that we're working on that are exciting to me, and hopefully you'll find the same excitement after this presentation. So first of all, IFF stands for International Flavor and Fragrances. And so, you can say, okay, what is a flavor and fragrance company doing in a biotech-centric conference? IFF grew, I think it tripled its size through acquisition in the past 5 to 6 years. And biotech part really came through a major acquisition that happened of the DuPont Industrial and Bioscience division and Health and Biosciences division from Danisco. So historically, if you actually piece together the elements, the biotech element that came through these acquisitions, you will find GeneAnchor is used to be a startup in the Bay Area, has been at the forefront of enzyme engineering. Danisco, it's a Danish-based, part ingredient company, and again, a lot of, interesting ingredients that go into food-related part. And then DuPont, and DuPont had, and I think I saw a presentation on propanediol, was one of an interesting large-scale chemical that is being used today to make the Sorona fiber, as well as a number of ingredients in personal care. And this has become now a business unit within IFF called Nutrition and Biosciences. So again, the name may be confusing, but there is a lot of know-how, biotech know-how, that really spans several decades within this organization. So, what are the products that we touch, right? If you are doing your laundry, most probably your cloth is coming quite clean because of enzyme technologies that is used and is created, by IFF, and not only IFF, but again, the cleaning revolution, the fact that we can do cold wash, has been really enabled by enzymes. You probably enjoy, a beer or a yogurt, and if you see the technology that is behind those processes, right, you have enzymes that accelerate the hydrolysis of your starch if you are brewing, your beer. The cultures that give texture in the yogurt are again, made by us and many other companies, and that's, biotech again, right? Biofuels, right? If you see many of the ethanol plants would not exist without the right yeast, without the right enzyme technology, and so, the products that we use day in and day out are enabled by biotech, and we are part of many other companies that are creating, the key ingredients, maybe invisible, but key ingredients that are enabling, this transformation. And also health, if you again, if you are taking, prebiotic, probiotic, again, there is a lot of technology that goes into this market field. So I will tell you about biomaterials, which is yet another iteration of biotech. Clearly, we have a need to greenify. In fact, more even than just the green aspect is we need to make the materials that we have today better performing. And I personally believe that we can do that through biotechnology and through inspiration to nature. I often give this example, right? We use a lot of water-soluble polymers, again, in our laundry, in personal care, so on and so forth. Today, we dig a hole, we take out an oil that doesn't want to mixed up with water, and we do a ton of chemistry to turn it into something that is water soluble. You know, clearly we invented the chemistry to do it, and that's amazing, by the way. It doesn't feel the easiest path to it. I think nature makes a number of water-soluble functional polymers. And so if we get inspiration to it, and plus we add a capability to tailor and really make it precise, then I think that's a better approach than what we're doing today. So we should really look at biotech as a way to create better ingredients and materials, not just more sustainable one. This is a famous graph. I'm sure that there will be many other slides that will show this in these coming 2 days. There is a lot of embedded carbon in the materials that we are using today, right? And again, it really goes to how we are making and transforming the ingredients, right? It's not only that we're using fossil-based carbon, we're also using a lot of energy to turn that carbon into a useful material. And this is an RCI slide, and so, where do we want to be in the coming, 20 to 30 years? We need to be able to create a mix of technologies that can be based on recycling. It can be based on CO2 technology that is able to re-embed CO2 back into functional materials. Biobased is also a key part of this strategy, and of course we are biased, and we think that that fraction can in fact be larger than it is depicted in the graph. And again, I want to tell you a bit more about how we are thinking the biobased materials and polymers within IFF. Now, I'll tell you a bit more about polysaccharides. And polysaccharides, we know them, right? It's cellulose, it's starch. Cellulose is a structural material. We make tables out of it. We build entire houses out of, trees, right? Starch is an energy storage material. It's water soluble. It can be used as a glue in industrial application. It's food. The only difference as a chemist is how we are linking a glucose polymer. Cellulose is a beta-1,4 polyglucose. Starch is an alpha-1,4. So it's a stereochemical difference. To me, that is amazing and fascinating, right? It tells you how nature uses slight tweaking and can create widely different structures. And in fact, there are many other polysaccharides that, again, we use today, right? Guar, xanthan gum, pectin, that have humongous functionality. And so the key element of all these ingredients is that they are extracted, right? So if I want cellulose, I go cut a tree, I run the craft process, I separate lignin from hemicellulose from cellulose, right? If I want pectin, I take, the peel from lime or oranges, and I extract the active component. So these are all extractive processes. They're great, they work, but they're limited because you have to basically accept what nature is giving you. I'll tell you a bit more about polymer. It's an alpha-1,3 linked polysaccharide. This is a naturally occurring polymer. It is found in mushroom cell wall, so we are already eating it. It turns out that there is also an enzyme in our mouth. It's called glucosyltransferase that creates a plaque, right? So it basically polymerizes the sucrose that we are eating and turns it into a plaque. So again, nature knows how to use other structure that may not be widely available to us and transform it. Few more things about this alpha-1,3 polysaccharide. So if you, again, if you are a mushroom lover and you eat shiitake mushroom and you analyze the dry components of shiitake mushroom, you will see that there are soluble and insoluble components. And within the insoluble component, you have a mixture of polysaccharide, but you will also find this alpha-1,3 polysaccharide, right? So it's 21.4% on a dry mass of shiitake mushroom. So the question is, if I want this polysaccharide, what should I do? I can wait for autumn to come, go around forest, chop a bunch of mushrooms, and extract the polysaccharide. if I want to follow what is done today with other, polysaccharides, we think that there is a different and better approach to really get to these functional polysaccharides. Again, I'm clearly an engineer and a scientist at heart, so I like to kind of give you a few additional elements on why these glycopolymers are exciting. This is basically a statistics or a combinatoric approach where you say, if I want to make a trimer, so 3 monomers stitched together, how many trimers I can create if I have as a design tool the protein space, right? And that's humongous. I can create 8,000 structures. By the way, we make use of that. All the enzymes that we make today as products, right, are based in the design diversity of the protein building space. If I ask the same question, how many structures can I create if I use now the language of sugar, right, of polysaccharides, to create a trimer? The amount of structure I can create just explodes. It's orders of magnitude more than 6 million structures of just a trimer. And polymers are much larger than that. So I believe that if we are able to invest significantly over time in building polysaccharide structure from the bottom up, much like we've invested in the protein space, the opportunity to create functional material is humongous. So now I'll tell you what we have been doing because we are excited by this idea. We call it Design Enzymatic Biomaterial, DEB. Now, it's a fairly simple approach. And this cartoon describes the key elements of this technology. We start from sucrose, right? And I'll tell you later why actually sucrose is an exciting starting point. Then we have an enzyme. Again, we sell enzymes as a company. We design enzymes, so that's kind of our bread and butter. And what these enzymes do is they break the linkage within sucrose, so it's fructose glucose, and the glucose gets activated, and we polymerize the glucose. We still have value for the fructose. It's a key co-product. It can be used as food. It can be used as a feed into our own fermentation. It can be used as a feedstock for fuel. And the third element is by basically selecting the right enzyme, selecting the right process condition, we can create a variety of polymer structures. We can create water-soluble structure. We can create it water-insoluble. We can add branching. So we are bringing this design thinking that, of course, the market likes, because that's what we are used from acrylics, right? A lot of the synthetic polymers, their beauty is that I can design molecular weight. I can make it a bit soluble, a bit less soluble. I can, have high molecular weight for viscosity, low molecular weight for fast dissolution. So we are bringing the design thinking within materials that are basically 100% bio-based, biodegradable in all environments. And on top of it, if we want even additional, functionality, we can use the chemistry that we have developed for cellulose and starches. By the way, we're thinking and we're discussing all the issues, the geopolitical issues that we have when we have oil as our feedstock. Sucrose is available everywhere, right? You have sucrose in Brazil from cane. Europe has plenty of sucrose. You have it in Asia. So as a feedstock, it's a fantastic feedstock. Second, and that's again, thinking more as a chemist, it is an ingredient that is highly pure because it wants to crystallize. So it gives you a very consistent feedstock to make a very consistent product at the end. So where are we using this material, these polymers? We have many applications that we are touching. We are making waters. Again, I was mentioning, to me, it doesn't make sense that we make water-soluble polymer starting from oils that doesn't want to mix in water. I think it's much smarter to make water-soluble polymers for personal care, for home care, for many other, for wastewater treatment, starting from polysaccharides. But we are also now touching, industrial applications like nonwoven, coatings, packaging. Now, from end-of-life perspective, these materials are polysaccharides. It's like starch, it's like cellulose. That means that the base material, the backbone of these polymers, is 100% bio-based, is biodegradable in marine environment, is biodegradable in composting, so on and so forth. It is a polysaccharide, right? Nature and bugs love to break glucose down and use it as food, right? And that's basically what is done. And we've certified it. We have all the technical data, so on and so forth. But again, if you step back and ask, what is the structure I have? It's a glucose polymer. So it is a natural consequence to have all these type of certifications. Innovation is hard. And it's important to put this timeline just to show you how long it took us, to be where we are. This started as a crazy idea from a researcher in Central Research at DuPont. He had worked his entire life to make Kevlar and high-performance polymers. He believed he could make a high-strength fiber that was natural. That was his driving, motif. And in 2006, he had this patent 7 million. Typically, the US Patent Office gives these round numbers on ideas that they believe can be highly impactful. And again, in a biased way, we believe that was the right choice to make. It was very this close from getting abandoned as an IP, by the way, because at that time, DuPont was exiting the fiber business. It was rescued by some scientists and some, visionary leaders and created an R&D project in 2010. We went through first scale-up in 2014. We had key partnerships, and you can read some of them. We have partnership with Camira. We are partnering with BASF and many others. And these partnerships are essential for this type of project to see the light. You need to connect the crazy idea to a use, and an end use, and a market, and a customer that is willing to pull that innovation. And we have now commercialized, and we are committed to keep going and commercialize even further. And I want to also leave you with this, right? It may sound, I have sugar, water, I sprinkle an enzyme, I create a polymer. And it was crazy to think that you could do this at scale and consistently at the beginning. We are way past that initial excitement and R&D phase. We're building plants. And by the way, those plants are here in Europe, right? We have commercialized a water-soluble polysaccharide. That was in 2024, and there is a plant in Finland. We have a second plant to make the water-insoluble alpha-1,3 polymer. That was done last year. And we have just announced a commercial scale plant that will be making more than 10,000 ton a year polymer plant. So what I want to I would like you to remember out of this talk is there is a better path to functional, better polymers than just sticking to oil. And this is enabled by biotech. And there are companies like IFF, and we are not the only one, that believe in these technologies, and they're investing their money, and customers that are willing to buy these polymers and these materials that we're working on. Few case studies, and I know I have some, I don't have a lot of time left. We have made, for example, in readily biodegradable cationic polymer for hair care. If you have a fabric and hair conditioning, there are a lot of polymer used. These tend to be cationic acrylics. These are biopersistent, non-biodegradable, petro-based polymer. We can make as good of polymers that are readily biodegradable. And by the way, we cannot talk about recycling in a polymer that is used to wash our hair. That will enter the environment. We must make that biodegradable. We are making polymers for packaging that brings exceptional oxygen barrier. So we can combine our polymer, for example, with PHA, with PLA, with paper. And the end structure will have outstanding performance. At the end of the day, we need packaging to save the content, the food, right? We need barrier for those properties. And today, again, using the right biotech-enabled materials, we can create high-performing packaging structure. It's not about compromising. It's about maintaining the performance while also improving the end of life of these structures. And it can be done. This is just a final slide. It's more of a marketing slide, right? We love biomaterials. We love cellulose. We love the naturally occurring ingredients. What we don't like about those ingredients is that we cannot design them. We like the design feature of synthetic materials, but we don't like their biopersistence. We don't like their source. I think there is a path that doesn't compromise between the two. And we can really bring the design feature that we like about synthetic polymers with all the good feature of bio-based biodegradation of natural polymers. That's it. I think time is up. Thank you.